You're watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Warm welcome, you're watching Mission 2024. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. A big day today. History etched in 4 words. Nari Shakti, the Women Reservation Bill has been tabled in the Lok Sabha this afternoon. I'm going to get you all the latest. First up, the headlines. Prime Minister Modi presents the historic Women's Reservation Bill in new Parliament. It will be called Nari Shakti Vandan. Prime Minister seeks consensus from all parties for the passage of the bill. 7 hours allotted for debate tomorrow. Credit war erupts over Women's Reservation Bill. Congress claims it introduced women quota. Amit Shah hit back, says women quota was just tokenism for Congress. India transitioned to the new parliament. Prime Minister Modi leads MPs as they enter the new complex. Old parliament to be called Samvidhan Sadan, Constitution House. New Delhi expels top Canadian diplomat hours after Justin Trudeau accuses India of killing Khalistani terrorist Nijjar. India calls the charge absurd and motivated. India today accesses 12 more Khalistani terrorists turned gangsters hiding in Canada who are on the most wanted list. Will Trudeau act, or will he continue to pander to his vote bank? UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak snubs Justin Trudeau after he briefs Biden, Sunak and Macron on the allegations against India. But UK government says trade talks with India will continue. There's been a big win for forces as they avenge the death of Anantnag Braves. Lashkar commander Uzahir neutralized after 7 days of anti-terror operations. Well, it's a big day today. The Women Reservation Bill has finally been tabled in Lok Sabha. What's interesting, viewers, in 1947, the Constituent Assembly deemed it unnecessary. And in 2023, after trials, tribulations over the course of many decades, it was tabled. This time around, it seems, it could very well pass. I am joined right now by Ms. Margaret Alva, 5-term Member of Parliament, former Union Minister and Governor, senior leader of the Congress, and importantly, Ms. Alva, in 1987, you were the one which headed the committee constituted by the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, and one of the recommendations at that point of time was a reservation for women where political assertion was concerned. So congratulations, ma'am, it's come a full circle.
Thank you, it's a dream come true.
Would you take us through the long journey, Ms. Margaret Alva? 1987, it was something which was brought in Parliament as well today by Adhiranjan Chaudhary. How under Rajiv Gandhi there was, at least an attempt to bring in parity where women were concerned in the political field. And it's been a very, very long journey ever since. Will you take us through the trials and tribulation of it? Because you were, if I'm not wrong, one of the very few women, from that committee, which is still around to tell the story of what happened.
That's right. It was Rajiv ji who asked me to put a team together to work on the all-round empowerment of women during a 10-year period. He was talking about 89 to 99, so that by 2000 they would step into the new century on an equal footing. So the National Perspective Plan for Women was drawn by us, and we brought it. I took it to the cabinet. But I must say that I had to really face the brickbats, because one of the recommendations was the 33% reservation for women from panchayats to parliament. And everyone was against it. They said there's no way we can allow this to happen. And the general strain was, कहाँ कहाँ दुनिया में घूम के ये सब ले आते हैं, ये तो हिंदुस्तान में नहीं चलेगा. It will not work. Anyway, when it was rejected there, Rajiv ji called me and said, they are not prepared to accept it as it stands, but we have to stoop to quota. So let's start with the panchayats. And then started this whole exercise of getting women in the rural areas, in the local areas, to come out and support this effort at bringing them into local bodies. So that constitution amendment we tried to bring in 89. It was defeated by the opposition. We lost the government, and soon after Rajiv ji was assassinated. His dream unfulfilled. But when P.V. Narasimha Rao ji's government came, we brought the Panchayati Raj Bill, and as you know, the constitution amendments, both the urban and local and rural local bodies were constituted, and women today elected to these bodies are more than 16 to 18 lakhs, holding various positions and doing very well. But the next step which was envisaged of taking it up to the assemblies and parliament, they would not hear of it. Parliament, they felt, could not accept so many women. And I don't know why they were afraid, but they just wouldn't listen. We tried, I think 6 times this bill has been introduced in Parliament. It has been scuttled. Like we used to say, पर्दे के पीछे सब एक है. All of them would talk about the Women's Reservation Bill in their manifestos, in party fora, raise their hands. But when it came to the actual passing of the bill in Parliament, they were not prepared. There was no quorum one time. The bill was pulled out of the hands of the law minister, Ram Jethmalani, and torn in the house. We saw various things happen. But I am very happy that today a BJP Prime Minister is bringing a bill which was Rajiv ji, a Congress Prime Minister's dream. And I congratulate him and the government for taking this initiative, and that in the new parliament, the first bill that is being introduced is the bill for the reservation of women. 75 years after independence, at least our demand is being heard and being acceded to.
But
now that the bill will
ahead,
be passed, I presume, though I know it will be passed and it will become part of the statute book of the country, today when I went through the details, I was a little, shall I say, sorry or sad to see that the implementation will be done after the next census, which would be any time between 26 and 27, and then the delimitation, which will take at least another 2 years, which means not before 29. And this is very disappointing because the next election will come and go. Don't know what the composition of parliament will be after that, and what and who will take responsibility to ensure that this law is implemented successfully.
Ms. Alva, you know, the lack of political will to subscribe to set patriarchal structures has cut both ways. Your own allies have let you down multiple times, not once. But you do talk about Rajiv Gandhi's dream, but the sheer fact also, and maybe, you know, if we take the politics away from it, Ms. Alva, it was tabled 3 times over under the Vajpayee government.
more than 3 times. And even the other governments, when it was introduced, it was not passed because we couldn't put the numbers together. Everybody's manifestos spoke about it. Congress, Mamta, regional parties, the left parties, everybody was supporting it. But we couldn't get the sufficient numbers because it was being scuttled by 2 or 3 parties, and numbers were the most important for a constitution amendment.
Well, correct there. First time it's been tabled by the Modi government, and this time around it does look it would pass. But, with what you touched upon, Ms. Malwa, the sheer fact that the timeline of it seems to suggest that we might not see the light of day in terms of it being implemented on ground with 33% reservation, not before 2029.
That's right.
That is if at all the census happens earlier, then there is a constitutional amendment and we bring in delimitation earlier. We don't know if South parties are going to be on board of that or accept. So it's a long road ahead. Do you see this as an eyewash then? Because ultimately, what is it that we are doing? We're going to pass the buck to the next government, and we don't know what the political structure is then.
At the moment, it is a headline opportunity. It is headlines all over the country. Women are excited. Everybody is congratulating the government. So am I. I'm happy that it is at least coming onto the statute book. But let me be honest, when I read the details after the initial euphoria, I said, good God, who knows when and who is going to actually take the initiative to implement it? Because the implementation is not going to be easy. We will have to have the numbers, we will have to, numbers to have a government that will be determined to move forward. And, well, that's a big question. But once it's on the statute book, I don't think any government is going to amend it or move back. It will only be a movement forward, and the assemblies will have to concur, which I'm sure they will do.
Ms. Malwa, Alwa, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, ma'am, before I let you go. But one of them, history stands testimony that through the course of every time this bill was tabled, it was the socialist leaders that let it down. And you know who all I'm talking about. There's a vast range. Today, where the alliance of your own party stands, in the India alliance, there are many political parties which definitely will not be on board with going ahead on whatever the Congress wants to claim is its victory in terms of pushing forth with the Women Reservation Bill. Do you see that as a huge hurdle as well?
No, I believe the mindset has changed, and on the eve of the 24 parliament elections, I don't see any party standing up and saying no to this bill. After all, women are more than 50% of the electorate. The only issue on which there could be a bit of further discussion or maybe amendments is reservations within reservations.
Quota within quota, ma'am. That's what you're talking about.
I was on the joint parliamentary... Yes. I'm talking about... I was on the joint select committee. We had discussed this in detail, and we had all come to the consensus that in the SC/ST reservation quota, women would get 33%. That there could be no reservation or quota for the backward classes in the women's bill because it doesn't exist for parliament, right? And that the only way to sort this out is if reservations come for the OBCs or other communities, then we would give them 33% out of their quota. The second issue which was troubling was the question of rotation. It was said that if you rotate, then how will women take their constituency seriously knowing they will not contest again? Our suggestion had been that a woman should fight from a constituency and rotate them after that. Because we do believe that many of them will be able to fight as general candidates after 10 years. Because women have a reputation of being very dedicated and very committed to their constituencies. That's the second. The third thing, which again was the question, now the bill says 15 years. We had said a minimum of 30 years, which means two elections to be fought by a woman in one constituency. So it would mean that 2 elections and 1/3 at a time would mean 30 years. That I believe now, from what I understand, has been reduced to 15 years. Another suggestion which is now being propped up is dual member constituencies. I think it's crazy. No man is going to allow a woman to function as an equal in his constituency. She will be like baggage tied to his legs.
Right.
And either she gets kicked or she gets kicked out, whatever it is. So I don't think it is at all a solution to this problem. There should be 2 consecutive terms where she will fight, and she is free to contest as a general candidate if she has the confidence and she is accepted by a constituency after the 2 terms. That would be, I think, the best solution. But whatever the pitfalls and the shortcomings,
it still looks like a far dream, at least as of now, a mirage of sorts, Ms. Alba. I'm going to ask you one quick question, ma'am, before I let you go, because there have been many of your ilk, and maybe put politics aside for a minute, who fought the good fight. And, the likes of Sushma Swaraj vociferous in support of the Women Reservation Bill. Would you want to recount some of the women in active politics who over the years have stood shoulder to shoulder and tried to push for this move, which has seen a long time in coming?
We have had women across parties stand together. We had the women's chain in the well of the house when the bill was towed by some Samajwadi Party women. We did do everything together. There was Sushma, there was Renuka Chaudhary, and there were so many of them that I would like to recount. There was Mrs. Bose from West
Geeta
Bengal.
Mukherjee, ma'am. Let me give you another name.
Geeta Mukherjee was the chairman of... I'm sorry.
Yes.
Geeta Mukherjee was very important. She played a very important role as chairman of the Joint Parliamentary Committee. We were so many of us. And when these women of a couple of parties didn't join us, I said to them, हम आपके लिए भी लड़ रहे हैं, आप क्यों नहीं आ रहे हैं सामने? They said, मैडम हम आपके साथ हैं, पर हमारे पार्टी के हमारे नेता लोग हमें टिकट नहीं देंगे, हम आपके साथ खड़े हो जाएंगे तो. So you see, there was so much pressure on them, though all these party people were supporting the cause. And I believe many of them are gone, but they will be rejoicing with us when this happens. And I do hope I will live to see the implementation when it comes in the next few years.
Ma'am, I'm into that, and I hope, and you see it very, very soon, not even getting to whether you live for it or not. Let's hope it happens really soon. Thank you for joining us and taking the time out and speaking with us. And I would hope the likes of Sushma Swaraj, Geeta Mukherjee, wherever they are, if it ever materializes, would also be smiling because, this is a big, big development, historic at that. But let's see how it carries further. Meanwhile, the new Parliament building was inaugurated on the 28th of May. In less than 4 months, on 19 September, work started in the new building, and today, business began on the second day of the special session.
A new day, a special session, and a brand new Parliament building as India rises. At the onset of the second day of the special session, it was time to bid adieu to old. It was the last session at the historic Central Hall.
के सुनहरे पन्नों में अंकित होने का दिन है.
Today onwards, our two houses of the parliament shall have their sittings in the new Parliament House building. We all know that this Central Hall has witnessed transfer of power from Britain to Bharat. I am very happy and enthusiastic about the functions of the two houses of the Parliament. Henceforth, from the new building, which is the symbol of new and emerging Bharat, paving the way for the developed nation as envisaged by Prime Minister by 2047.
As we bid adieu to the Parliament House and move to the new Parliament building today, I am overwhelmed with emotions and tinge of pathos. We would, of course, be continuing our parliamentary duties in the new Parliament building, but will miss the Parliament House.
Members of the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha gathered at the inner courtyard of the old Parliament House for a group photograph. Memories of Indian democracy captured in vibrant colors.
आज हम यहाँ विकसित भारत का संकल्प दोहराना, फिर एक बार संकल्पबद्ध होना और उसको परिपूर्ण करने के लिए जी जान से जुटने के इरादे से नए भवन की तरफ प्रस्थान कर रहे हैं.
On this momentous occasion, as we stand on the threshold of adding a new chapter to the annals of our parliamentary democracy, I congratulate you all on our phenomenal rise. We all are indeed privileged to be witnessing this history in the making as we bid adieu to this magnificent Parliament building which houses both the chambers of our Parliament and this imposing Central Hall and move to the new one.
खूबसूरत तस्वीर है जिसका हम सभी बेसब्री से इंतजार कर रहे थे, अब वो पल आ चुका है.
And they marched on to the new horizon, united, in harmony, each holding a brand new Indian constitution in hand. Together, the parliamentarians of India, that is Bharat, elected representatives of 1 billion countrymen, started the day in the new parliament.
माननीय सदस्यगण, आज हमारे देश के लोकतांत्रिक इतिहास का एक अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण दिन है, जब हम संसद के नए भवन में लोकसभा की पहली बैठक आरंभ कर रहे हैं. माननीय अर्जुन मेघवाल जी.
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय.
The first work on table was the historic introduction of the 128th Constitution Amendment Bill in the Lok Sabha to provide for 1/3 reservation to women of India in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies. With that, Indian democracy scored its first in the new Parliament House.
बिल को अपलोड कर दिया गया है. नई टेक्नोलॉजी है संसद की, और नई टेक्नोलॉजी में आप इसमें देख लें, बिल अपलोड कर दिया है.
आर्टिकल 370 हटाने से लेकर वो विषय ऐसा रहा जो शायद ही कोई दशक ऐसा होगा कि चर्चा न हुई हो, चिंता न हुई हो, और मांग न हुई हो। आक्रोश भी व्यक्त हुआ, सभागृह में भी हुआ, सभागृह के बाहर भी हुआ। लेकिन हम सबका सौभाग्य है कि हमें सदन में आर्टिकल 370 से मुक्ति पाने का, अलगाववाद, आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़ने का एक बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण कदम और इस महत्वपूर्ण काम में माननीय सांसदों की, संसद की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है। अभी तक लोकसभा और राज्यसभा ने मिलकर करीब करीब 4000 से अधिक कानून पास किए हैं। और कभी जरूरत पड़ी तो ज्वाइंट सेशन के माध्यम से भी कानून पारित करने की दिशा में रणनीति बनानी पड़ी और उसके तहत भी दहेज रोकथाम कानून हो, बैंकिंग सर्विस कमीशन बिल हो, आतंक से लड़ने के लिए कानून हो, ये संयुक्त सत्र में पास किए गए, इसी गृह में पास किए गए।
महिला आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो, कानून बने। लोकसभा एवं विधानसभाओं के लिए भी 1/3 आरक्षण के लिए डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार के वक्त जो ये बिल आया वो आज तक जीवित है, आज तक जीवित है।
माननीय अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा वो फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट है कि पुराना बिल अभी भी जीवित है। मेरी स्पष्ट जानकारी है कि पुराना बिल लैप्स कर गया है। अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा है उसके समर्थन में उनके पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है तो टेबल पर रखने चाहिए। एक, या तो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट विड्रॉ करना चाहिए। दूसरा, उन्होंने कहा कि इस बिल को लोकसभा ने भी कभी पारित किया था राजीव गांधी जी के समय में, कभी नहीं हुआ है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, लोकसभा में जो बिल पारित होता है अगर राज्यसभा उसको पारित नहीं करती है और लोकसभा का कार्यकाल समाप्त होता है तो वो बिल अपने आप लैप्स हो जाता है। मैं मानता हूं कि इस चीज को स्पष्टता करनी चाहिए और माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अगर उनके पास अलग जानकारी है तो सदन के टेबल पर रखनी चाहिए।
Now, months ago, when the new parliament building was unveiled, when you had the inauguration by the Prime Minister in that grand puja, there was a lot of talk about a symbol of sovereignty and transfer of power in the times of the Chola Empire, which was revived. I'm referring to the Sengol. And here's a look at the journey of the Sengol. It's been much debated, but what exactly is the story behind this artifact?
Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
This landmark tryst carries a backstory. A backstory rarely told. A backstory that dates back to the Chola Empire, a Tamil dynasty that originated in the Kaveri Valley and ruled the region for over 500 years until the 13th century. Just before the Union Jack came down and 300 years of British rule ended. The transfer of power was emblematically encapsulated in a Tamil ceremony. Priests from prominent Tamil mutts carried a 5-foot scepter, sprinkled it with holy water, and handed it to Pandit Nehru at his Delhi home at sunset on August 14th. This wasn't an ordinary symbol of sovereignty, called Sengol, derived from the Sanskrit word shank or a conch, surmounted by a carving of Nandi, Shiva's sacred bull. The golden staff, made by craftsmen in what was then called Madras, was modelled after the wand that the Chola kings would hand to their successors. The choice wasn't random. It was the outcome of deep thoughts and research. Pandit Nehru turned to freedom fighter C. Rajagopalachari for suggestions regarding a symbol for the transfer of power from the British to the Indians. Rajagopalachari found the answer in history. He contacted a leading mutt down south to create the Sengol of the Chola tradition. Its seer then commissioned the job to the famous Vumidi Bangaru jewelers.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Powered by UBI, good people to bank with. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com, हर family होगी insured.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. What a historic day it's been. History was etched in 4 words. Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. Well, that was the bill that was tabled, Women Reservation, where politics is concerned. And with that, we also raise a question in this debate. At least there is a start, and this time around, it very well could happen. 1947, at the Constituent Assembly, what was deemed unnecessary could this time around make it pass through in 2023. Serendipity, if one might say, but whatever it might be, credit was galore. But when it comes down to women empowerment, it couldn't be better news. But the question that we are asking, going ahead from here, is it etching history in the real term, or somewhere down the line setting political narrative? What is the timeline of women reservation if the bill clears both houses this time around. Let's cut across to our panelists. Joining me is Lalita Kumara Mangalam, former chairperson MCW, Neeraja Chaudhary, senior journalist as well with us. We begin with Lalita Kumara Mangalam. Ma'am, congratulations. History has been made. We hope it follows through. But where the timeline comes into question, what we are looking at is at least till 2029, because the clause in the bill says after delimitation. Before that, a census would need to take place, and it's only then the delimitation takes place, and only then can we even look at reservation. Political dynamics could change, but yet, well begun at least.
First of all, let me say congratulations to every woman in this country who's been raising their voice for the Women's Reservation Bill. Because you're right, it finally gives some hope where women will be allowed to take part in the decision-making process. Not just a few selected women, regardless of their background, but women right from the grassroots upwards, especially at the assembly level. In the local languages, not always just in parliament, but also, as I said, in the various states that they represent or will be represented. I think what you're asking me is how long we think it will take for it to come into actual implementation. Once the bill passes this parliament, which it will, because it has been timed well to ensure that there is a majority for the BJP in both houses, and it will be passed. After that, we have been told that they have to do the delimitation exercise and, of course, the census. As we all know, the census was delayed because of the COVID. There was no way it could have been done. I think it was June 2021, but it didn't happen because of COVID, it was delayed. I've also heard that it has been told that it should not take more than 2 to 3 years. Obviously, it's not going to come in before the 2024 elections, which would, of course, have been ideal. And all of us would have been extremely happy had it done so. But there is the, I wouldn't say promise, but there is the assertion that this will be fast-tracked as much as it can. And I think they're looking at 2 to 3 years. According to me personally, 2 years may be a little too short a period of time, but well before 2029.
But, you know, the way we are looking at in terms of the timeline, ma'am, because now it seems very clear that it's not going to happen in 2024. Who knows what the political dynamics are in 2024? And if you actually do have that kind of brute majority to push a reform like this in. And, you know, having said that, is it also then passing the buck to 2024? You don't know what comes then. You know, all this effort could go down the drain.
The likelihood of it going down the drain is very little because every party will have to put their weight behind this bill this time. And they will find it extremely difficult to explain to the women of India, regardless of, I mean, especially the ones who are not directly in politics. The ordinary woman who would have expected, again, as I say, more at the state level, where they expect that one day we will also have a chance. Many young women today are very ambitious in this respect, and rightly so. So I don't think it would be that easy to junk the bill, so to say, once it's been passed by both houses of parliament. If it's been passed by one house, like happened in the earlier times, then yes, it's easy. But once both houses of parliament have passed it, it's very difficult for any political party to give any sort of reasoning, any sort of rationale that will be accepted, especially by the women of this country.
Ma'am, I'll ask you 2 quick questions before I let you go. And my first question is political. Yeah, I understand, you know, today is a day to celebrate, and it is. It's a huge achievement, like I said. You know, something which was deemed unnecessary in 47, we've come full circle, and we're actually looking to implement it in 23. But the political question is, which stems from what the opposition says, that you've had brute majority, you're from the BJP since 2014. What stopped the BJP from bringing this bill earlier, and why wait 10 years down the line to actually push something like this?
Look, I think we have brute majority in the Lok Sabha. The Rajya Sabha took us some time. As you know, it's not been the same. I mean, both houses, we were not in majority in both houses right from day one, especially of Mr. Modi's after him being elected in 2014. And also, consensus is not easy to arrive on this bill. It would be a lie on my part to say, especially given the fact that I've worked on women's issues from 1980 2008, long before I came into politics. The opposition to the women's bill has not come just from outside the BJP. There have been many people inside the BJP, and not merely always the men, but there are also women who don't think that this is the ideal way to go forward to increase women's representation in the government bodies. There has been a lot of problems that women have faced, and we've been fighting for this for well over, I remember, at least 40 years. More than that, because I've had members from my family fight for this. I have seen and I have met people like Aruna Asafali, etc., when my mother used to work for them from that time, which is more than 50 years, easily. And there was a lot of opposition. So remember that the timing of this bill is fortuitous because Mr. Modi has been very clever about introducing it at a time when he knows he can push it through both houses of parliament.
Fair enough. And, my final question to you, keeping the politics aside, you said that, right from your own family, they've stood in line shoulder to shoulder, women especially, cutting across party lines. Would you take a moment to maybe recount that? We were talking to Margaret Alva a short while ago. She thinks it's historic. The likes and the endeavor of a Sushma Swaraj, a Geeta Mukherjee, a Margaret Alva or a Renuka Chaudhary.
Geeta Mukherjee was incidentally my mother's aunt. So, I mean, it's within my family, there have been many people who have argued for this. My own aunt was Parvati Krishnan. She was also in the CPI. And I mean, on this particular issue, across the board, as you've just said, whether it was Sushma ji, whether it was Geeta Mukherjee, whether it was many other people, I mentioned Aruna Asafali, she's far older than them, but she was also a very senior person and a doyen of the women's movement, as it's called. Everybody stood side by side, and there was no politics played.
Right.
You will see many photos where you will see even Brinda Karat standing hand in hand with Sushma ji, etc. Sheila Dikshit. They were all from different parties, but on this one issue, they were united, which is how it should have been. I wish all politics was like that, but unfortunately today it isn't. But on this issue, I'm very happy that across the board, women have supported it, especially the senior women leaders from across all parties.
You're right there. You've taught by example, and I'm sure there's a great sense of pride with your association with the likes of Geeta Mukherjee. We read about her in college, and really the kind of work that she'd put in. Congratulations once again, and we hope to speak with you once this bill is clear. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Let's cut across right now to our other guests. Neeraja Chaudhary, senior journalist, also with us. Lavanya Balal, spokesperson, Congress, Charu Pragya. Neeraja Chaudhary, the journey of the Women Reservation Bill has been long. It's been arduous. You've covered it. Do you see it actually be a reality or a possibility, Neeraja Chaudhary, or do you still see a bit of a red herring to all of this?
Preeti, I can't make out what you're saying. A huge amount of echo is coming, so I cannot distinguish your words at all. Ma'am, what your studio can correct
Okay, we are going to correct that. We're just going to correct that. Give us about 10 seconds. We are correcting that. While we correct it, I want to cut across to our other guest, Lavanya Balal. Maybe not a day to take credit, maybe the day also to celebrate.
Good evening, Preeti. Actually, it started off with quite a bit of excitement yesterday. All of us were excited. I mean, it was quite exciting for women from across the board. It would have been a great day. And, it is a little disappointing because this is a government which has come with a brute majority. And passing a bill like this would have been a cakewalk. I mean, we have seen that they have bulldozed even problematic legislations in the parliament. So it wouldn't have been difficult for the central government to pass this particular bill, but to put, caveats and to say, we will be bringing this up only after the census, decadal census, which, of course, if you look at the G20 countries, we were the only country which hasn't done the census. It's a little disappointing. I wish, all our seniors have worked tirelessly for decades to make this come true. I wish this was passed without any caveats today.
Well, I understand it hasn't been passed yet. It's been tabled. Tomorrow's the discussion, and then we're going to see whether it does pass. But somewhere down the line, as I hate really ever pulling the woman card, but as women, we must look back and look at all of them who fought the good fight, and that cuts across party lines. Yes. Be it the likes of your very own Lavanya Balal, Margaret Alva, 1987, yes. or the Renuka Chaudhary, or on the other side, Sushma Swaraj. You have Brinda Karat, you have a Geeta Mukherjee. Yes. They've all stood shoulder to shoulder to bring together what it is. Charu Pragya, yes. It's a moment in time which will be recorded in history that it was under the governance of Prime Minister Modi. But do we fall short if we don't give credit to those who started it earlier?
Preeti, I'm glad you said that, we should give credit to all the good women who fought this fight. And I think there are some causes which can unite people across party lines when it comes to empowering women and making sure that they have a place at the decision-making table. I think that's one cause which is worthy of uniting women across party lines. And not being political here, I do want to mention that there are so many colleagues of mine in other political parties, and we'll have a lot of differences of opinions about everything. We'll debate ferociously. But when it comes to this one agenda, that women need a place at this table, women should have representation at the parliament, I have seen them unite. And it warms my heart to see this bill being tabled today. It makes me very happy because I think finally we're at a point where we can put aside party differences and we can say the government has tabled a bill which is meaningful to not just women. It's meaningful to men too. Because when women are at the decision-making table, the lives of the whole countrymen, country people are going to be impacted, and women empowerment cannot happen without the support of men. At this point of time, the man I want to thank is Prime Minister Modi ji. He's tabled the bill. I know the opposition says that they are in support of the bill, but after that, they do add a very big but. I was hoping that this...
Okay, I'm going to not get to the but today, Charu Pragya. With both Lavanya and Charu, they've agreed today on one point, and that is that it's a day to celebrate. They both can take credit, definitely. Nobody's stopping them. But Nirja Chaudhary, I want to come back and ask you that question which I did. It's been a long, arduous journey for the Women Reservation Bill. Do you actually see it being a reality, or do you still read a bit of red herring to it all, keeping in mind the timeline that is depicted, because we won't see the light of day of it till 2029?
Yes, I think I see more chance of it going through. Though, of course, the government has linked it to the delimitation and census exercise, which makes it possible that it will happen only in 2029, not 2024. But I would say certainly we've come a long way in the last 27 years in terms of the growing consciousness of women, younger women, who dream dreams and want to scale new heights and break new ceilings. So that is a huge pressure for parties that would have otherwise opposed it. It will be that much more difficult for these parties, particularly the OBC leaders who opposed it in the past, to do that. Be difficult for Tejasvi Yadav to do what Lalu Yadav did, or for Akhilesh Yadav to Singh Yadav did. So I think, yes, there is a greater chance of this bill going through, and it's a historic day, because to keep women out in a country like India, a parliamentary democracy like India, and have only 14.6% representation, when even Pakistan has 20%, Bangladesh has 21%, and many countries have achieved parity. When women are making their mark everywhere, it makes no sense. And that is because women have been systematically kept out of the political system on the grounds of winnability. I think that is going to change. And I would say the credit goes to everybody. But if Mr. Narendra Modi manages to get it passed, then Jo Jeeta wo Sikandar.
I agree with you, Ms. Chaudhary. But when you say Jo Jeeta wo Sikandar, the credit will go to Narendra Modi, and it should, because he's managed to time it well if it does get passed. But I'll come back to you in one question, and I apologize to our other two participants in this debate. I would have liked to give them more time. We got Lalita Badwar and we'd got Margaret Alva earlier. But Nirja Chaudhary, I want to just ask you one quick question before I let you go. And that question is, ma'am, you've covered Indian politics for so long. You've seen so many seasons of parliament. Who do you, if you have to recount the journey, with women, and I want to say it again, who fought the good fight, and it's taken them decades to reach where we are. Do you have any names with you, Ms. Chaudhary?
Who would I give the credit to?
Yes, over time, ma'am.
Yeah?
Yes, over time.
Yeah, as I said, this journey started with Rajiv Gandhi wanting to give 1/3 representation to women in the local bodies. That the bill could not be passed because there was huge reaction from the state governments. And Narasimha Rao managed to pass it in 1992 when the country's attention was elsewhere, actually. It was soon after the demolition of the Babri Masjid, when these bills, 74th Amendment, 75th Amendment got passed. Then Devagowda brings it, introduces it, and I remember standing at the entrance of Parliament and hearing senior leaders tell their workers, agar tum andar jaoge na, to agli baar tumhe ticket nahi milne wala. They wanted to prevent a quorum from being completed when the bill was introduced. So there was resistance from within all parties, no matter what the public stand they took. Sonia Gandhi pushed for it in 2010, passed in the Rajya Sabha, but resistance in the Lok Sabha from the OBC leaders that supported the UPA government. And now finally, Narendra Modi has taken the bull by the horn and has decided, and women are an important constituency of Narendra Modi, and women are increasingly emerging as a vote bank in the country.
Well, you're right there, ma'am. Bang on. You know, the irony, I need to go into a quick break, but I have to say, you know, you can read it as irony, but as Neeraja Chowdhury pointed out, it began with Rajiv Gandhi, and in all probability, it will reach fruition under Narendra Modi. You know, interesting to look at it that way. And women always been the kingmaker when it comes down to Indian politics, never quite the king or the queen. This time around, things just might change. I thank all our three panelists for joining us. Appreciate it. Apologies if we didn't come down back to them. We've had a lot of guests, but we're going to keep the conversation going tomorrow as well. Up next, Rahul Kanwar.
और मेरा विश्वास है, देश जिस दिशा में चल पड़ा है, इच्छित परिणाम अवश्य प्राप्त होंगे। हम गति जितनी तेज करेंगे, परिणाम उतने जल्दी मिलेंगे। आज भारत 5वीं अर्थव्यवस्था पर पहुंचा है, लेकिन पहले 3 में पहुंचने के संकल्प के साथ बढ़ रहा है। और मैं जिस स्थान पर बैठा हूं, जो जानकारियां प्राप्त होती है, उसके आधार पर विश्व के गणमान्य लोगों से बातचीत करता हूं, उसके आधार पर मैं बड़े विश्वास से कह रहा हूं, हम में से कुछ लोगों की निराशा हो सकती है, लेकिन दुनिया आश्वस्त है कि भारत टॉप 3 में पहुंच के रहेगा। अब हमारे लिए छोटी छोटी चीजों में उलझना, वो वक्त चला गया है। हमें आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने के लक्ष्य को सबसे पहले परिपूर्ण करना चाहिए, और हमसे शुरुआत होती है, हर नागरिक से शुरुआत होती है। और आज दुनिया में भी एक समय ऐसा था कि लोग मुझे कहते थे, हमारे बड़े बड़े बुद्धिजीवी और अर्थशास्त्री लिखते थे कि मोदी आत्मनिर्भर की बात करता है तो मल्टीलेटरिज्म के सामने चुनौती तो बन नहीं जाएगा, ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी के जमाने में ठीक तो नहीं होगा। लेकिन 5 साल के भीतर भीतर देखा, दुनिया भारत के आत्मनिर्भर मॉडल की चर्चा करने लग गई है। और कौन हिंदुस्तानी नहीं चाहेगा कि डिफेंस सेक्टर में आत्मनिर्भर हो, एनर्जी सेक्टर में हम आत्मनिर्भर हो, एडिबल ऑयल, क्या इस देश को आत्मनिर्भर नहीं होना चाहिए? कृषि प्रधान देश हम कहते हैं, खाने का तेल क्या अब देश बाहर से लाएगा? बहुत समय की मांग है कि हमें आत्मनिर्भर भारत को संकल्प को पूरा करना, ये हम सबका दायित्व है। उसमें दल आड़े नहीं आते हैं, सिर्फ दिल चाहिए, देश के लिए चाहिए।
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 36 and minimum 27 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 28 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 25 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 28 and minimum 21 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 24 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 31 and minimum 22 degrees.
आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे, तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो, कानून बने। लोकसभा एवं विधानसभाओं के लिए भी 1/3 आरक्षण के लिए डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार के वक्त जो ये बिल आया, वो आज तक जीवित है, आज तक जीवित है।
माननीय अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा वो फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट है कि पुराना बिल अभी भी जीवित है। मेरी स्पष्ट जानकारी है कि पुराना बिल लैप्स कर गया है। अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा है उसके समर्थन में उनके पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है तो टेबल पर रखने चाहिए। एक, या तो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट विड्रॉ करना चाहिए। दूसरा, उन्होंने कहा कि इस बिल को लोकसभा ने भी कभी पारित किया था राजीव गांधी जी के समय में, कभी नहीं हुआ है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, लोकसभा में जो बिल पारित होता है, अगर राज्यसभा उसको पारित नहीं करती है और लोकसभा का कार्यकाल समाप्त होता है तो वो बिल अपने आप लैप्स हो जाता है। मैं मानता हूं कि इस चीज को स्पष्टता करनी चाहिए और माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अगर उनके पास अलग जानकारी है तो सदन के टेबल पर रखनी चाहिए।
"28 months went into building this monumental narrative. An architectural masterpiece. A reflection of the nation's Atmanirbhar vision. Let's take you now on a tour of India's new parliament. The House of the People, our new Lok Sabha. Larger and grander. 888 seats, almost 300 more than the old chamber. This is the brand new Rajya Sabha, bigger, more spacious. Designed to accommodate 384 members, around 100 more seats than the present upper house. Vastness is just one element of this stately complex. India's new parliament embodies the Indian diversity in all its glory. Materials sourced from across the country to build this temple of democracy. teak wood from Nagpur in Maharashtra, Rajasthan's red and white sandstone. Carpets procured from Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. The stone jali work bears the craftsmanship of Rajnagar in Rajasthan and Noida in Uttar Pradesh. Flooring of bamboo wood from the northeast from Agartala in Tripura. Indore in Madhya Pradesh sent the Ashok Chakra. The Ashok emblem sourced from Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar in Maharashtra and Jaipur in Rajasthan.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies. Co-presented by Century Laminates by Manish Malhotra, Fashion for your furniture.
Co-presented by
Macho Hind, बड़े आराम से. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com, हर family होगी insured. Co-powered by The Bold Look of Kohler. UBI, good people to bank with.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. Here's wishing all our viewers a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi. And on this auspicious occasion, the government tabling the historic Women's Reservation Bill in Parliament, but the implementation likely to happen only after delimitation and the census. So what does that mean? When will 33% women definitely get to be a part of the Indian Parliament? We look at that big political story, a momentous occasion, this on the news track tonight.
Milestone mark for Nari Shakti. Women's quota bill introduced. Beti bachao, beti padhao, neta banao. 27 years later, Narendra Modi pushes the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. Credit war rages over women's quota. Will the bill become a reality at least now? And that's our top focus on the news track.
The first Lok Sabha session in the new parliament started with a bang, with the Prime Minister introducing the historic Women's Reservation Bill 27 years since its inception. This is a milestone mark for Nari Shakti. The Modi government has smashed the wall, but an ugly credit war has erupted. Here's what happened all through the day on the first day of proceedings being held in the new Sansad Bhavan.
In a historic moment, the Indian Parliament has opened gateways for women power. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his first speech in the new Parliament building on Tuesday, announced the Union Cabinet has approved the Women's Reservation Bill, a proposal that has been hanging fire for decades. Calling it the Nari Shakti Vandan Bill, Prime Minister Modi highlighted how the previous governments had failed to bring a consensus and pass the bill.
नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम, इसके माध्यम से हमारा लोकतंत्र और मजबूत होगा। मैं देश की माताओं, बहनों, बेटियों को नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई दूंगा।
The Women's Reservation Bill was tabled by Union Law Minister Arjun Meghwal in the Lok Sabha.
ये असमानता दूर करने का काम अगर किसी ने किया है तो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने किया है। इसलिए ये महिलाओं को सशक्तिकरण भी करेगा और महिलाओं का उत्थान भी करेगा और ये दिशा भी देगा। इसलिए मैं इसकी अनुमति चाहता हूं आपसे।
The bill proposes 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. It will also accommodate SC and ST seats, but there will be no reservation in Rajya Sabha and legislative councils. A furious war of words erupted in the Lok Sabha after Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary claimed that the women's quota bill was the same as the one introduced by the Congress.
महिला आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो, कानून बने। लोकसभा एवं विधानसभाओं के लिए भी 1/3 आरक्षण के लिए डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार के वक्त जो ये बिल आया वो आज तक जीवित है, आज तक जीवित है।
माननीय अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा वो फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट है कि पुराना बिल अभी भी जीवित है। मेरी स्पष्ट जानकारी है कि पुराना बिल लैप्स कर गया है। अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा है उसके समर्थन में उनके पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है तो टेबल पर रखने चाहिए। एक, या तो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट विड्रॉ करना चाहिए। दूसरा, उन्होंने कहा कि इस बिल को लोकसभा ने भी कभी पारित किया था राजीव गांधी जी के समय में, कभी नहीं हुआ है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, लोकसभा में जो बिल पारित होता है अगर राज्यसभा उसको पारित नहीं करती है और लोकसभा का कार्यकाल समाप्त होता है तो वो बिल अपने आप लैप्स हो जाता है। मैं मानता हूं कि इस चीज को स्पष्टता करनी चाहिए और माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अगर उनके पास अलग जानकारी है तो सदन के टेबल पर रखनी चाहिए।
The government is pushing for the passage of the bill in the special session as the debate will kick off tomorrow in the Lok Sabha. Bureau Report, India Today.
Make no mistake, what we've seen on day one in the new Parliament building is historic. The question though is, when and how will the new Women's Reservation Bill become reality? Joining me to talk about this, representing the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, its Member of Parliament in the Lok Sabha, National Spokesperson Aparajita Sarangi. With us on this broadcast is Jyotimani Senemalai from the Congress. We have KC Tyagi, General Secretary General of the Janata Dal United. Priyanka Chaturvedi joins us, Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha, leader of the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray. Juhi Singh joins us from the Samajwadi Party. I want to go across to Aparajita Sarangi first. Ma'am, first wishing you, all our other guests, a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi on this auspicious day. You've laid on the floor of the House the new Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. The question I have for you is, when does this become reality? Because it's linked to the census. We don't have a clear date on when the census will be held. It's also linked to delimitation, which we know is in abeyance till 2026, but will be a very politically fraught exercise whenever it does happen. So when will the first set of MPs who get elected under this new constitutional amendment really get elected?
Yes. A very good evening. Let's look at the whole thing, Nari Vandan Adhiniyam Bill 2023, with a lot of optimism, hope and confidence. Let me take you back to 1996. It was on 12th September 1996 that in the 11th Lok Sabha, H.D. Dev Gowda had actually introduced this bill. And all the governments thereafter, till today, tried to push the bill and try to ensure the passage of the bill by both houses of the parliament, but no one could succeed. Now here, we have to start the whole thing on a positive note. The Prime Minister himself introduced the bill. Mind it, I underscore, Prime Minister himself introduced the bill in the Lok Sabha today, and then he actually sought for everybody's support. And there is absolutely no reason why everybody would not come to support, because there is political will on part of Prime Minister Modi's government, and we would be able to build a consensus.
You are giving me the past. I am asking you about the present and the future.
Yeah.
When will the first set of MPs elected under the new law come to Parliament?
I'm coming to it. So this particular government of Prime Minister Modi acts with tremendous maturity, and it goes meticulously into things. We have to follow the procedures. The delimitation exercise would take place as it should, and the census would also take place. So I think it will take some time. But don't you think that work of this nature, of gigantic proportions, if I can use that word, should be dealt with meticulously? We have to go into details, and we have to ensure that this particular bill, when it becomes an act, the amendments are through by both houses of parliament, are actually grounded and actually succeed while getting implemented. So I think let's wait and watch. It would take time. The procedures would be laid down.
Okay, Jyotimani ji, respond to what we are hearing from the government. This is a massive rearrangement of our parliamentary structure, and therefore it is a complex exercise. Expecting it to happen from next month or 3 months from now is unrealistic. The government saying we've started the work, we're at least getting the job done. The Congress, which is today seeking credit, couldn't get the job done. Credit goes to whoever gets the job done, not to those who claim they want to get the job done, but rather to those who actually got the work done. And therefore, Prime Minister Modi and Aparajita ji's party is worthy of credit on Ganesh Chaturthi for having moved this historic bill.
See, the actually get it done, what you have said, is not happening as per the bill table today. See, it's a Congress party. In 1989, when Rajiv ji was the Prime Minister, he was the one first came with the revolutionary idea of reserving 1/3, 33% for women in Panchayat Raj. People like me who's part of that reservation and won election, then now we become MPs. So that has, as you said, that 1989, immediately when Rajiv ji tabled the bill, it was defeated in the Rajya Sabha. But immediately next Congress government, Narasimha Rao ji government, has brought the bill again and implemented it 1996 itself. That's a political bill, because we implemented the bill, see the light of the day, and implemented. First set of 1 million women has participated in the process. Now it has increased to 50%. So Congress party has its right, its own. We have every right to claim, because it's a victory.
No,
for
but
the
you couldn't. I'm sorry, you couldn't get the job done. What are you seeking credit for, ma'am? You couldn't get the job done. I'm not understanding what are you seeking credit for.
Rahul, wait, Rahul, wait, I'm coming. Wait, I'm coming. So why we can't take credit? Because we have done the job through Panchayat Raj. 1 million women in no time has become the leaders of this country. Many of us, including me, who made it to parliament, because we given the result. It's not we haven't done anything. Secondly, when the UPA Congress-led UPA government has brought the bill, BJP vehemently opposed the bill, because we passed it in the Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha, we don't have a number, we don't have a majority. BJP would have been supported our bill in the Lok Sabha. The bill would have seen the light of the day then itself. Many women leaders would have become MPs, MLAs now. Because of BJP vehemently opposed the bill along with other parties, we couldn't pass because we don't have a number. You should not project as if Congress party is not willing to pass the bill, because we don't have a number in the Lok Sabha. We don't have a majority in the Lok Sabha. That is why we couldn't pass the bill. But despite
you didn't try. Between 2010 and 2014, because you were dependent on support of the Samajwadi Party and the RJD,
finish,
you didn't even try. You could have tried again.
And that's what we are saying. That's, yeah. No, wait. Rahul, let me finish. Despite having a brutal majority in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha Congress party is willing to support this bill. Multiple times Sonia Gandhi ji and Rahul Gandhi ji has written to the Prime Minister Modi ji. But despite that, 9 years they have not interested to bring this bill. Now they are bringing this bill. Of course, we are happy about it. But there is no implementation. You rightly said in the beginning, the bill clearly says, first it's linked with the delimitation. It, as you said, it's complex process. Second, it links with the census. That means it's not going to implement it any time soon. There is no guarantee it will not implement it 2024 at all. There is no guarantee that it will implemented 2029 unless Congress party comes to.
Priyanka ji, this new law, once it's in motion and implemented, potentially makes it easier for someone like you to enter Lok Sabha. As a woman politician, what are your thoughts on Prime Minister Modi and the BJP bringing this Women's Reservation Bill on this auspicious occasion? And who would you give credit to? The current BJP or the Congress, which is seeking credit, saying कि हमारा था?
So I just made 3-4 points. Point number 1. In 2014, Shri Narendra Modi had promised to the women of this country that as soon as he comes to power, BJP comes to power, he would implement the 33% reservation, which has been a long-standing commitment. Even Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji tried, did not happen. So he would do that. We are talking about it 9.5 years hence and just 6 months before the 2024 elections. That's point number 1. Point number 2, you keep asking why didn't the Congress party do it or other parties do it. Just let me remind you that the 73rd and 74th Amendment during Rajiv Gandhi era came at a time when Congress enjoyed a single party majority. From that era to now, till Mr. Narendra Modi was appointed, we did not have a single party majority, and that's why most of the coalition governments failed. While in 2010, Rajya Sabha happened to clear it, it could not have it passed in 2014, but the commitment was absolutely there. Over the years since 2014, every political party, every senior leader has been reminding the Prime Minister that this needs to be done.
But better late than never. He's finally getting it done, which is much better than not doing it at all.
Just allow me to complete, Mr. Kawal. Mr. Kawal, I did not interrupt anybody and you did not interrupt anyone. I was coming to my final point. If you allow me another 30 seconds or 40 seconds, I'll be very brief. Right? If you'll allow me. Without interruption. So I'll tell you the last point. Absolutely, we welcome it. Is this a fight fought only by the BJP? No. I remember the iconic photo of 2010 where Najma Heptullah ji, Sushma Swaraj ji, Brinda Karaj ji were exchanging sweets. It went across political party lines because it is a gender equality issue. Last point. Prime Minister Modi is introducing it. You say better late than never. Then my question to you is this. Point number 5 in this bill, like we say, it is always the bill in the details. The devil is in the details. Point number 5 categorically limits it to the delimitation exercise, which cannot happen till in 2024. We would have expected that 2024 is when we will see more women representation. What you're effectively doing right now is saying, okay, we have opened the doors. Why don't you all queue up? Queue up and show your interest in being a part of the parliament, and we will take this call in the next election after the delimitation exercise has happened. And let me also tell you, the delimitation exercise, approximately the timing is 2026. The delimitation exercise already is under a lot of controversy with regards to representation of southern states in the parliament. So all the controversies aside, what are we committing literally to the women? We are saying, okay, we are opening the doors, but thank you so much, you still cannot enter till we haven't done this exercise. So I am sorry, it is not even better late than never. It is another denial to the women to be part of the parliamentary system while they are 50% of the representation. I welcome this bill, but I have my apprehensions that this is not a case of better late than never. It is probably something that could have been done immediately.
KC Tyagi ji, you're the only man on this panel amongst the guests that I have on this show, which could be the new normal, and I think that would be a fantastic thing when it does happen. But it's your party that in the past, said nasty things when this bill was brought, that, Sharad Yadav ji said women with short hair, I don't even want to say what he exactly said, but women with short hair will get elected and that's not nice. From there, I see now a qualified acceptance of the necessity of this bill. काफी change हो गई आपकी पार्टी की राय उस टाइम से जब आप पूरी तरह से खिलाफ थे, अब आप थोड़े खिलाफ हैं, पूरे नहीं.
कमल जी, मैं चाहता हूं कि संसद के अंदर भी महिलाओं का रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऐसा ही हो और पुरुषों का भी ऐसा ही हो जैसा आज के पैनल में है. मुझे माइनॉरिटी में होने पर बड़ा गर्व महसूस हो रहा है.
सच बताइए, ये नहीं कि आप
बरसों
नेशनल टीवी पे इसलिए बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन जो मन के अंदर है वही बताइए बस आप।
राहुल जी, मैं सोशलिस्ट हूं, मेरे लोहिया नेता थे, वो महिला सशक्तिकरण के सबसे प्रबल समर्थक थे। सोशलिस्ट मूवमेंट के दो नेताओं को मिसअंडरस्टूड किया गया, लालू प्रसाद जी को भी और मुलायम सिंह जी को भी, जबकि नीतीश कुमार जी डे वन से, जब गीता मुखर्जी की अध्यक्षता में कमेटी बनी है तब से लेकर के अब तक नीतीश कुमार इसके कभी विरोधी नहीं रहे। और थोड़ा बीच में मैं आउट ऑफ द वे चला जाऊं, बिहार की सभी पंचायती राज्यों में 50% का आरक्षण है, सभी सरकारी नौकरियों में 35% का है, शिक्षक नियुक्तियों में 50% का, मेडिकल इंजीनियरिंग में 33% का। खैर, मैं अब टाइम पे आता हूँ। ये जब देवेगौड़ा जी जनता दल के हमारे में प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे तब ये बिल आया था। जो बैकवर्ड कास्ट के सोशल जस्टिस की पार्टियों के नेता हैं, उनका ये मानना था कि वो इस बिल के खिलाफ नहीं है, लेकिन जो वीकर सेक्शन की महिलाएं हैं, शायद वो उनका रिप्रेजेंटेशन इस बिल में नहीं हो पाएगा।
इस बिल के फाइन प्रिंट में लिखा है कि SC ST को रिजर्वेशन है, इन द सेम परसेंटेज SC ST को रिजर्वेशन है इस बिल के तहत।
राहुल कंवल जी, इसमें यह भी लिखा हुआ है, इसमें यह भी लिखा हुआ है कि ओबीसी श्रेणी की महिलाओं के लिए आरक्षण को बाहर रखा गया है। ये शायद आपने नहीं पढ़ा
सर, पर ओबीसी कोई सीटें थोड़ी होती है, वो तो पुरुषों के लिए कौन सी ओबीसी सीटें होती है
मामूल।
सर, पुरुषों के लिए कौन सी ओबीसी सीटें होती है? व्हाई हैव अनफेयर एक्सपेक्टेशंस ऑफ अ हायर बार? ओबीसी रिजर्व्ड सीट्स,
ओबीसी वर्ग की महिलाओं के लिए आरक्षण को लेकर के हम पहले भी लड़ते रहे, आज भी लड़ रहे हैं, कल भी लड़ेंगे, लेकिन हम इस बिल के साथ हैं। और ये ना बीजेपी कांग्रेस का है, ये तमाम देश के महिलाओं के ने जो आवाज़ उठाई समय समय पर उसकी, और आज जो समय जिस तरह का है ये उसकी मांग है। हमें प्रसन्नता है, हमारी पार्टी इसका दोनों सदनों में समर्थन करेगी। और जो फाइनली जब ये हुआ था 2010 में, तब भी हमारी पार्टी ने इसका समर्थन किया था, लेकिन जो SC ST का किया है उसका हम समर्थन करते हैं। और जो देश की 55% आबादी है बैकवर्ड क्लासेस की, उसकी महिलाओं का भी इसमें होना चाहिए, इसकी हम मांग करते हैं। ये मांग हमने 1952 में पिछड़ी जातियों के आरक्षण की भी की थी। अल्टीमेटली 7 अगस्त 1990 को VP सिंह जी के नेतृत्व में ये संभव हो पाया। और मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, एक दिन आएगा इस संसद में जब पिछड़ी जाति की महिलाएं भी SC ST के साथ और महिला के साथ सदन का हिस्सा बनेंगी। लेकिन ये लड़ाई, ये प्रतिरोध, ये पॉइंट हमारा आप नोट कीजिए। इसका समर्थन करते हुए हम 55% जो बैकवर्ड क्लास की आबादी है उसकी मांग को उठाते रहेंगे।
ओके, Joy Singh, now you're a woman politician and yet you're from a party which hasn't supported this bill traditionally. Are you now going to rise above party lines and say, Priyanka ji, Aparajita ji, Jyoti Bani ji, let's get together and welcome this bill, or will you stick to party line, Joy Singh?
Rahul, we've never opposed the Women Reservation Bill, and Tyagi ji always said that we have always asked for a quota within the Women's Reservation, which is for the OBCs, the SCs, STs and the minorities.
No, but there's no such quota for OBCs amongst the men, so why ask for this amongst women?
Yeah, so different parameters for men. I thought that's what we were addressing, and that's what the Prime Minister
No, but that's setting the bar so high and making it unrealistic here, because there's already SC ST quota. You have SC ST quota amongst women reservation. It goes through. The question is, does the SP want to get the job done, or do you want to find some excuse to create a roadblock?
Rahul, does the Prime Minister want to get this bill implemented? Let's just ask him, because it's already been stated. I do not want to repeat that the census has to take place, the delimitation has to take place. So is this lip service on the part of the BJP just to, create events? What's the homework?
No, but how can it be lip service? They are passing a law, ma'am.
It is.
How is this lip service? If you're passing a law, then you're committing yourself to doing this.
Any law is as good as it is implemented, and is the BJP anyway, is it giving a timeline when this will be implemented? You yourself started the argument by asking that when is
Do you have a timeline in mind, Aparajita ji? Does the BJP, can you commit on national television to a particular timeline?
See, I tell you two things. Please give me about 30-40 seconds. Number one, to say that Bharatiya Janata Party did not support the Congress on March 9, 2010 in the Rajya Sabha is far from the truth. So I humbly seek to correct Madam Jyotimani. When in 2010 March 9, on March 9 it was tabled in Rajya Sabha, BJP as well as the left had gone ahead and supported, and the bill was passed by 2/3 majority. But
Lok
the
Sabha, I
Congress
said, Lok
at that
Sabha.
point of time did not have the political will and could not get it passed in the Lok Sabha, and that is why the bill could not be passed, could not see the light of the day. This is one part. And number two, let me tell you that this bill has been, the passage of this bill has been in the manifesto of BJP in 2014 and 19. So we have always been supporting the idea of the women's reservation. Now, as far as timeline is concerned, see, I must tell you that administrative procedures have to be followed. Delimitation exercise has to be carried out. We do not want any kind of glitches on the ground during the time of implementation. We have said goodbye to Article 370. We have said goodbye to Article 35A. We had brought in GST, one nation, one tax. We have done so many things. Historic steps have been taken. But have you seen ever in the last 9 years any kind of administrative glitch?
Okay,
because
so can I just take a moment to explain to our viewers why what Aparajita ji is saying is very complex. Delimitation isn't easy. It's been held in abeyance since 2026. So stay with me for a moment as I take you through some data sets. Delimitation essentially means that the number of seats in a state is bases the population in that state. So the more the population, the more the seats in that state. And in the past several decades, states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala have been able to control their population much more than states like UP and Bihar. So if delimitation happens in 2026 in the way that it happened last, I have some data here. This is from the Carnegie Endowment Center. This is by an academic by the name of Milan Vaishnav. What it means is that in a state like Tamil Nadu, the number of seats at present are 39 in the Lok Sabha. If the projected population in 2026 is the barometer for the number of seats in Tamil Nadu in 2026, then the number of seats will come down to 31. Let's just have Tamil Nadu on the screen. That's down 8 from the current number. In a state like Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, where currently you have 42 seats, the number of seats will come down cumulatively to 34. That's down 8 from present. In Kerala, it will come down from 20 to 12. That's down 8 in Kerala. It's the same in all South Indian states. But to make this point, let me now take you to the North Indian states. In a state like Uttar Pradesh, which currently has 80 seats, if the population projected in 2026 in Uttar Pradesh and in the rest of the country is taken as the basis, the number of seats in Uttar Pradesh go up from 80 to 91. That's 11 more than at present. In Bihar, the number of seats go from 40 to 50. That's 10 more than at present. In a state like Rajasthan, from 25 to 31, that's 6 more than at present. In MP, they go up by 4 more. So what that means is that South Indian states see their proportionate representation in the Lok Sabha come down. North Indian states see their proportionate representation go up. So therefore, the South won't like it, the North will like it because they become more politically significant, but there will be a big backlash in the South. And that is the problem. Aparajita ji, do you have any thoughts on how you hope to address this question? Because you're making it seem as if it's only procedural. It's far more complex than just being procedural.
I entirely agree. It is a complicated procedure, but only the government of Prime Minister Modi can handle complex things. You have seen in the past 9 years how we operate, and we are very confident that we would be grounding this particular reservation. So tomorrow is the day when we are going to have discussion on various dimensions of this particular bill. Let there be consensus and let the bill be passed, and then thereafter you would see administrative procedures would be put into place, and we would be monitoring very closely.
The other thing is this is linked to the census. The census was to happen in 2020. The census didn't happen in 2002, so it's been delayed. In the US, in the UK, even in China, censuses have happened after the pandemic. In India, why haven't we had a census so far? When will the census take place, ma'am?
See, the government will actually speak regarding the methodology that it would adopt in the days to come. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 days, the Minister of Law would be talking to the whole nation regarding the procedures to be adopted. And within a definite time frame about which everybody would get to know, we would be doing the whole thing. And
okay, Priyanka Chaturvedi has a finger up, so let me go across to Priyanka. The BJP saying yes, delimitation and census are complex, but the BJP government is master at dealing with complex issues, and they will explain in Parliament what the next steps are. Let's not get carried away just at this moment. Priyanka Chaturvedi.
So,
yes.
No, there's nothing to get carried away. They had an option of implementing this in 2024. What stopped them from doing it? Using this delimitation crutch, I think is just an excuse to delay the reservation that women have been fighting for over the years. And you'd be doing the gender equality a lot of injustice by trying to justify something like this. Now, second point to something she said, oh, we have implemented 370, oh, we did the GST. So I'd want to ask her, ma'am, did you do it immediately with effect immediately after once it becomes an act, or you did it on a future given date, which again is an uncertainty? The second thing she said is, oh, we have done fantastic implementation over the years under Mr. Modi's leadership. I just like to remind her about the demonetization. Only a person who had stopped reading the news for those 100 days would say something like this, that implementation was flawless. Implementation of GST had come with so many problems for small businesses, many businesses had shut down. Let's not forget the COVID lockdown. So let's not say, oh, because this is an implementation will be flawless. How can you commit implementation will be flawless when delimitation itself is causing a lot of concern in southern states? And you've just shared the data points with us. Every data suggests that representation of southern states will reduce for having done a good job on controlling the population. While those who haven't done a good job will have more representation. How does that work for the people of the country? So those are controversies, those are concerns, and no bill or no act has been passed with a future date, which is 7 years from now. 7 years from now. So this is nothing but, just, I'm sorry, which Amit Shahji had used the word, Chunavi Jumla.
There's another way of looking at it. In India, and I just want to call this data set on our screen right now. In India, every Lok Sabha seat on an average is about 24 lakh voters, right? That's the representation. This is as per Inter-Parliamentary Union data for 2019 and World Bank population data. So there it is on your screen right now. So about 24 odd lakh is the number of voters, citizens on every parliamentary seat. In a country like the United States, it's less than 10 lakhs. In Pakistan, it's just above 5 lakhs. Even Nigeria, it's about 5 lakhs. Indonesia, Bangladesh, much smaller seats. So the other idea is that you create more seats. Remember, the new parliament is actually capable of seating 800 plus MPs. Our current strength is 543. So can you then increase the number of seats? And there is another calculation that's been done. If you just make seats smaller in terms of the number of people on every seat, then there's another formula. And again, remember, these are academics who are doing this extrapolation, so we still need to see what the government thinks. But as per the second data, then in a state like Tamil Nadu, you'd go up from 39 to 49 seats. In a state like Uttar Pradesh, you'd go up from 80 to 143. In Bihar, you'd then go from 40 to 79. West Bengal 48 to 60, Gujarat from 26 to 43, Rajasthan from 25 to 50. So you have more seats, smaller seats, more seats. But that's complex as well, because even in that formulation, the aggregate number of seats in the south and percentage of overall comes down for southern states. Let me go across to Yashwant Deshmukh, who spends a lot of time studying this. Yashwant, we haven't heard any formal reason, but can you, as best as you can, explain to our viewers why has the census been delayed? When is the census likely to happen? And about delimitation, when it happens, if it happens as per the past formula, then how do you deal with this north versus south question?
Well, I will start with your later part first, because census delay is due to the pandemic, and the government might deem fit that to do as and when they feel like. I don't want to get into that controversy. But Rahul, you are so correct when you are talking about even with the increased number of seats, if the proportion of the seats from the states who have done wonderfully in controlling their population on increasing their literacy rate, education rate and everything, why should they be punished by their proportion of the seats in the parliament being reduced? So obviously that is not going to happen, Rahul. I am pretty clear that is kind of opening a Pandora's box. It is like punishing the best of your students.
No, but that's what delimitation means. But that's what delimitation means. That's what the definition of delimitation
is. I think they will have to figure a way out where the proportion of the seats from different states, they remain common, but within those states, the number of population might be evenly distributed. Like, for example, an average number of voter in Kerala might remain 10 lakh, but the number of seats will remain that 20. And in UP, it might be 20 lakhs. But you can't help it because that would be wrong. That would be like...
No, but that's why delimitation is on pause till 2026.
Exactly. That's why it was frozen till 2026, because it was an issue where nobody knew how to deal it. And I'm absolutely dead sure, even in 26, it is an issue where nobody knows a clue on how to deal it. You just cannot punish the southern states for performing good on different indices, for controlling their population growth, for doing so well. They cannot be punished. Number one. Number two.
No, so there's another formula. There's another formula, which is that you have dual seats. So on 1/3 of the seats, you have 2 MPs, like we did from 51 to 61. You have dual member seats. So there's one from general category or SC, ST, and there's one woman MP as well. Is that better in your view?
I think the best possible way to deal it, I mean, I have proposed this one earlier as well, that, best way is to increase the strength of the number of the entire parliament by 33% to accommodate this women's quota. But the women's quota should be applied in a proportional representation manner, like 543 seats go to the elections just the way they are. But the additional seats are allocated as per the votes polled in the parliamentary election. That will make multiple things go in one together giant thing where, proportional representation comes in. You don't have to redraw the districts. You don't have to do anything of that sort, which might flare up, which might,
No, but those MPs may be seen as second-class MPs because it's proportional representation and you haven't gone to the voters and got elected.
No, they are not. You see this.
No, but someone like a Priyanka Chaturvedi or a Juhi Singh may not be happy. They want to go to voters and win a bona fide election. They don't want this entry through the back door. Why would anybody want it? Priyanka ji, do you want that? This idea that there can be proportional representation?
I am absolutely sure.
Sir, this is a very patriarchal idea in my view. Why would she be okay with it?
Rahul, I am absolutely sure that even Juhi
I have fought my fight without a reservation, and I am where I am. No, this would be doing a huge disservice to the idea of having women in the parliament. We have fought, whether it is my other colleagues in the parliament, Jyoti Mani especially. Jyoti Mani has seen a life of struggle where she started from Panchayat and where she is now. And that is our ability to fight. But because something was promised to us in the constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had drafted a constitution which gave us equal rights, which was denied to us. And that is why we are asking for this reservation, that a long overdue quota has to be implemented. We don't want this proportional, decorative idea of having women in the parliament.
No. You are getting
We want to be active members at the power table taking policy decisions.
This is neither decorational. I think you are getting my entire idea absolutely wrong. This is neither decorational nor in that way, Priyanka ji. This is a well thought of election. Females will be contesting in all the seats just the way they have been contesting.
Rahul.
But you are using that vote to convert into a kind of seat. I tell you why. Because Juhi ji also will never say, in the spirit of the federalism, that the Kerala should be punished because they had a good laws implemented over there in terms of population control.
Okay, let Juhi Singh speak for Juhi Singh. Let Juhi Singh speak for Juhi Singh. Juhi, go on.
Not be punished, but then if you've promised reservation on the same parameters as men, then why introduce different modality for the entire women segment, Yashwantji? I mean, it's for the government. Why have they not worked out the modalities? Why have they not done their homework? And if they do not want to implement that bill,
okay, केसी त्यागी जी, आपको इतने साल का तजुर्बा है, आप बताएं कि इसको डील कैसे करें? Because you want to create reservation You want to ensure that the southern states aren't punished for their good work on health, education, women's empowerment. How do you break this deadlock? What do you do with the tricky issue of delimitation, which is now linked to the future of the Women's Reservation Bill? KC Tyagi.
Rahul.
Just 1 second, Jyoti Mani ji. Let me hear from KC Tyagi. KC Tyagi.
राहुल जी, एक तो इसमें अधूरापन ये भी है कि राज्यसभा और विधान परिषद में ये महिला रिजर्वेशन कोटा विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल. तो जेडीयू एंड द सोशलिस्ट ब्लॉक वांट्स कि दे आल्सो मस्ट बी इंक्लूडेड इनमें विधान परिषद एंड राज्यसभा.
करके स्टार्ट करते ना, सभी कुछ पहले दिन हो जाएगा तो कैसे होगा? अगर लकीरी इतनी दूर खींच दो तो फिर तो कुछ भी नहीं होगा ना सर. एक एक करके बढ़ते हैं.
अपनी राय तो रखने दीजिए राहुल जी. ये तो आपका वर्जन है ना, मेरा नहीं है ना. मुझे अपनी राय रखने दीजिए.
ठीक है.
दूसरा ये है 1931 जब ब्रिटिश रूल था और इंडिया का कास्ट सिस्टम बहुत मजबूत था, उस समय पहली जातिगत जनगणना हुई थी. लोगों ने सोशल प्रेशर की वजह से अपनी जात भी छिपाई. गरीब और छोटी जातियों के लोग अपने आप को बड़ी जातियों में सम्मिलित कर लेते थे. उत्तर प्रदेश की हमारी हैं जूही जी, ये जानती हैं कि ज़्यादातर लोध समुदाय के लोगों ने लोध राजपूत लिख दिया. बहुत सारे लोगों ने कुर्मी क्षत्रिय सभा लिख दिया. लिहाजा आज तक भी जनगणना नहीं हुई है और ये कोई मामूली काम नहीं है. 9 साल में भी नहीं हुई और खाली कोरोना के पीरियड का बहाना नहीं चलता, उसके बाद भी 4 साल हो गए. तो एक तो जातिगत जनगणना, एक तो जनगणना होना चाहिए और उसमें जात का भी कॉलम होना चाहिए. अमृत काल में देश को ये जानने का हक है कि 75 सालों में किन सोशल फोर्सेस का एम्पावरमेंट कम हुआ है, किन का बिल्कुल नहीं हुआ है, कौन से डिप्राइव्ड सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी हैं, कैसे सबको सबका साथ सबका विकास में इंक्लूड किया जाना चाहिए. और उसके बाद जो आपने बाद वाला बताया है वो सबसे टिपिकल इशू है. मैं चाहता हूं कि साउथ के कंसर्न जो हैं उसको भी नोटिस किया जाना चाहिए. और फिर मैं वही कहना चाहता हूं, ये कोई एक पार्टी का सरकार का एजेंडा नहीं, ये मल्टी पार्टी होना चाहिए. सब लोगों को शामिल किया जाना चाहिए, दक्षिण को भी उत्तर को भी, और सारे पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ को एंगेज किया जाना चाहिए और तब ये डीलिमिटेशन का काम शुरू करना चाहिए. और भी इसमें कई चीज़ें मैं उस पर नहीं कहना चाहता क्योंकि मैं आज पॉजिटिव रहना चाहता हूँ. और पॉजिटिव ये है, ऑल द सोशलिस्ट ऑफ ऑल ट्रेड एंड मार्क दे आर इन फेवर ऑफ द महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल. वी सैल्यूट द बिल. और इसका क्रेडिट एक को नहीं, पूरे देश की महिलाओं के संगठनों को जो लड़ी हैं. मुझे आज बहन सुषमा स्वराज की भी याद आ रही है, वो भी लड़ी थी इसके लिए, आज वो नहीं है. और इसके तहत जो गरीब जातियों की समूहों की महिलाएं हैं, मैं राहुल जी आपसे डिसएग्री करता हूँ. वो तो पुरुषों SC/ST महिलाओं का है, पुरुषों का नहीं है. पुरुषों का अलग से है, बना हुआ उसके अंदर कोटा. लिहाजा जो बैकवर्ड क्लास की, गरीब जातियों की, गरीब समूहों की जो सोशली एजुकेशनली बैकवर्ड हैं, उनको भी इसमें शामिल किया जाए. और हमारे जैसे लोग द सोशलिस्ट ऑफ ब्रांड एंड ऑल प्रोग्रेसिव फोर्सेस फॉर द सोशो इकोनॉमिक एम्पावरमेंट, उसके लिए अपनी लड़ाई और प्रतिरोध जारी रखेंगे.
सभी क्या प्रोग्रेसिव फोर्स है. चांद भी चाहिए, तारा भी चाहिए, हर तारा चाहिए एक ही साथ चाहिए. जो मिल रहा है अभी वो तो लेके कम से कम काम तो स्टार्ट होने दीजिए. बट I want to go across to Jyoti Mani on the question of delimitation, because in Tamil Nadu, if we go for proportional seats, the number of seats comes down from 39 at present to 31. That's 8 lesser than at present. Uttar Pradesh goes up from 80 potentially to 91. That's 11 more than at present. That would create potentially a big backlash in the south.
Rahul, give me some time without interfering. See, this will definitely create a backlash in the south. It also will see the legal battles which will not going to end anytime soon. That is why this government is cleverly linking with this with census, fresh census and the delimitation, because they do not want to pass the Women Reservation Bill because they have any commitment or any political will. They could have do it with between 2014 to 19 at the beginning of the 2019. Why now they are bringing at the end of their term? Because the government is marred with so much problem. Because unlike I am not agree with what my colleague in the BJP is saying. You see the track record of this government. This government is full of jumlas. They said 15 lakhs rupees in account. Now later they said it's a jumla. They said 2 crore. They will create 2 crore jobs. It's not done. They said actually they will double the income of the farmer. They haven't done. They said they will control the price rise. Price rise is skyrocketing. Now top of that there is 7.5 lakh crore corruption actually CAG has reported. And they lost Karnataka badly. There are other 5 states they might lose badly. Because of that, they want to change the discourse. That is why they are saying this one nation, one election.
Okay, so that's a rhetorical point. That's a rhetorical political point. You made it, which is fine. I'm out of time. Aparajita ji, final words. We've seen in the last 20 minutes on this discussion how when you link women's reservation to more complex issues like delimitation, census, once you get started, is reasonably straightforward unless you get caught in the caste census trap. It's reasonably straightforward. But delimitation is complex no matter how you go, like Yashwant Deshmukh pointed out. So is it wise to have linked women's reservation bill with two very complex issues which aren't easy to resolve?
Cynicism is a disease these people suffer from. This was a historic day, a great thing is going to happen, and I think everybody should acknowledge and appreciate. Having said that, let me tell you that in the past 9 years, PM Modi's government has caught bull bites horns. So this is definitely a complicated task. But I must tell you that whatever has to be done will be done. Implementation has always been the strong point of PM Modi's government. We would be listing out the tasks ahead, and one after the other we would be carrying out all the tasks, and we would be enlisting everybody's support. And as far as the timelines are concerned, as far as the implementation methodology is concerned, please wait for the next 2 days. Do participate in the discussion. This is my appeal to all the honorable MPs of different political parties. Do participate and give your considered opinion. Everyone is entitled to his or her opinion. And then please listen to the government. We would be carrying out this task. Please support us.
So the Modi government has staked its credibility on being able to implement the bill. You've heard during the course of this discussion about why delimitation is complex, how the census is held up, but ultimately the government will be judged by every woman and man watching whether they're able to walk the talk. So Aparajita Sarangi says it's easy to be cynical. Give us time. The Modi government will get the job done. We will track, and hopefully over the next couple of days we'll get answers to some of these questions. For the time being, once again, Yashwant Deshmukh, KC Tyagi, Juhi Singh, Priyanka Chaturvedi, Jyoti Mani and Aparajita ji. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi to all of you, and thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. We're slipping into a quick break. When we come back, New Delhi expels top Canadian diplomat hours after Justin Trudeau accused India of killing Khalistani terrorist Nijar. Details coming up on the other side.
Months went into building this monumental narrative. An architectural masterpiece. A reflection of the nation's Atmanirbhar vision. Let's take you now on a tour of India's new parliament. The House of the People. Our new Lok Sabha. Larger and grander. 888 seats. Almost 300 more than the old chamber. This is the brand new Rajya Sabha, bigger, more spacious. Designed to accommodate 384 members, around 100 more seats than the present upper house. Vastness is just one element of this stately complex. India's new parliament embodies the Indian diversity in all its glory. Materials sourced from across the country to build this temple of democracy. teak wood from Nagpur in Maharashtra, Rajasthan's red and white sandstone, carpets procured from Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. The stone jali work bears the craftsmanship of Rajnagar in Rajasthan and Noida in Uttar Pradesh. Flooring of bamboo wood from the northeast from Agartala in Tripura. Indore in Madhya Pradesh sent the Ashok Chakra. The Ashok emblem sourced from Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar in Maharashtra and Jaipur in Rajasthan.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
After giving the cold shoulder to Justin Trudeau at the G20 summit in New Delhi, the Indian government has expelled a senior Canadian diplomat. This after Trudeau accused India of murdering Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar's killing and expelled a senior Indian diplomat. India has called the charges absurd and motivated.
The gloves are off. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday announced in Parliament Indian agents could be behind the killing of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani terrorist wanted in India.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
We've been clear. Canada has expelled an Indian diplomat over what it calls the involvement of a foreign government in its internal affairs. Within hours of Canada's provocation, New Delhi retaliated by expelling a senior Canadian diplomat.
External Affairs Minister. Sir, you meet the... You have got... External Affairs Minister.
India has called Canada's accusations absurd and politically motivated to shift the focus from Khalistani terrorists and extremists who are being allowed a free run there.
Phrase which came to my mind was actually a Hindi phrase, which was "Ulta chor kotwal ko dante." I mean, if anybody has a complaint, we have a complaint about Canada. You know, what I said earlier, the space that they're giving to Khalistanis and to violent extremists. So I was very perplexed by what I heard.
Nijjar, whom India had declared a wanted terrorist, was gunned down on June 18th in Surrey. The NIA had issued an arrest warrant for Nijjar, accusing him of carrying out terrorist attacks in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had taken up the issue of Khalistani extremists getting a voice in Canada in his bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau in Delhi on the sidelines of G20. Trudeau claims he'd discussed Nijjar's killing with the Indian Prime Minister. Canada had recently suspended negotiations for a free trade agreement with India. With the latest accusations, the already sour diplomatic relations between the two countries have hit a new low. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where I wrap up the news track tonight. I look forward to seeing you 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.